Hello, and welcome to Day 4 of Surviving Your First Week in Project Zomboid, a much requested series where I walk you through how I typically structure and play out my first week. Last episode, we hit up the school and came away with a ton of supplies, including a car and the generator and herbalist magazines. Today, we're going to go on our biggest run yet and check out the gas station and the mechanic shop, where we'll find a ton of supplies that are going to help us last at least a month. Alright, let's get into things. I do something dumb here and eat canned food. It's not the end of the world or anything, but it's a good practice to eat anything in the refrigerator first, since that's your perishable food and it'll go bad eventually. Anyway, let's take a ride to the northern end of the city and see what we run into. This will be one of those days where you're going to have to determine how important fuel is to you. It's not a necessity this early, but it's something that needs to be checked off the list in the first week since the power can go off any day. And if that happens before you have enough fuel stockpiled, you'll end up with a whole nother mess to deal with. But that's another story for a different time. Now, like anything in Project Zomboid, there is a big risk versus reward with hitting up a gas station. On one hand, there's fuel, a ton of food and water and supplies, but there's also usually a shit ton of zombies hanging around. There's a few ways we can go about this, but I find the easiest way is to just clear the zombies first and then loot the gas station, since there's, again, a ton of food, water, supplies, and cigarettes there that you can take with us. Here, we've arrived at the lesson of the day. Always shut the door behind you. Otherwise a zombie will sneak in on you and try to take your gummy bears and Slim Jims. Nobody wants that. Anyway, the back room here has a ton of boxes that spawn items for cars, like gas cans and mechanics tools, so be sure to grab those. I think now's a good time to talk about why I love grabbing fuel early on. If you don't know, the fuel pumps go out when the power goes out, usually about 2 weeks into the playthrough. And after that point, you'll need a generator and fuel for said generator. In my opinion, it's just easier to stock up on fuel early on and then not have to worry about it. And since we're in Rosewood, we can hit up the other POIs around the station since it doesn't take very long to refuel everything. If you go early enough, you can make the 12 p.m. Life and Living episode by heading upstairs to the small home above the gas station shop, where you'll find a TV and a couple other things to eat. The only thing to note, again, is to make sure you shut the damn door behind you, or else you'll risk ending up in this situation. The biggest thing to remember here is not to panic. It's only a few zombies, and with a lucky hit or two, you can knock one or two over, making the fight much easier. Worst case scenario, you can try to sprint around them and shoulder shove them out of the way. Obviously the big risk with that being that you could stumble and fall, essentially ending your run. But anyway, we'll finish looting the gas station interior and move on to other things. Here, I'm really only focused on the water bottles and orange soda. You can drink the soda, or empty it out and fill it with water, since water is still on at this point, serving as an extra water bottle. We'll go ahead and throw everything in the trunk and head on over to the mechanic shop next door. There's a couple zombies hanging around, but most don't seem to have noticed me, so as long as that's the case, we can go ahead and get started looting. Now, I don't need anything specific here, but I'm really looking for things like hammers, wrenches, or crowbars. Really anything that I could use as a viable melee weapon. Since we have a car, I'll grab the jack as well, since I'm sure we'll need that eventually. One extra thing we can do as well is loot the garbage bags out of the garbage cans. Can use them later on to make rain collectors as a source of water. We're gonna run into some zombies here while leaving the mechanic shop, and one of them's a cop. Now I always like to target zombie cops since they typically carry holsters, batons, and even pistols and shotguns, which are always a nice commodity to have. Since we've filled up the trunk and it's getting pretty late, it's time to head back to base for the day. It looks like we have a couple zombies that have wandered into the parking lot, so let's take care of them before going inside so that we know the base is secure. This is one of those things where timing and planning is so important. Because we knew what we were looking for while looting, we were able to get back to base with some time to spare, which allowed us to clear out the zombies around the front and still make it upstairs in time to catch Life and Living. We'll keep throwing our food into this cabinet for now, and drop everything else in their designated piles. We could probably spend some time building crates or using lockers, but at this point, we have a ton of stuff to do, and it feels like a waste of time for me when I know what's in each pile already. We came away from the gas station today with 8 cans of gas, which should keep us well stocked for at least the rest of the month. Well, here looks like a good place to stop for the day. I'll spend the remaining few hours reading some skill books before heading off to bed. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully this series is helping at least a few of you get through those stressful first couple days. Check back in next time for day 5, where we'll add a platform to set the generator on, and go on an epic quest for more melee weapons and crafting supplies. Another huge thank you to my YouTube members who make it possible for me to make these kind of videos. I appreciate you all, and thanks for stopping by.